This is a weekly STEP meeting. Our format is as follows. A speaker is asked to talk for 25 to 30 minutes on the STEP of that week, followed by a discussion or questions until 7 p.m. You can find these weekly meetings on our YouTube page, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Dolestown. Don't forget to smash the button, subscribe, and share. This brings us to the speaker portion of the meeting. On this day, March the 8th, 2021, in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, at the Monday night 6 p.m. Stay Alive Literature and STEP group at St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Tonight's speaker is Joe, and he will be sharing his experience on Step 9. Let's please welcome Joe.
Hi everybody, how you doing? My name's Joe. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi Joe.
First, I guess I'll start by qualifying myself. My sobriety date's August 22nd, 2014. I have a sponsor. I talk to him every day. I have a home group. I haven't gone in a long time, to be honest, but I'm moving back down to that area, so I'll be going to that home group more regularly. It's the Lakeside meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. I've been doing this for a while now. I remember when I first came in, I didn't want to be sober. Anyone that's been here, you've heard all the war stories, how you ended up here. Everyone that's here earned the seat here, unfortunately. But at the same time, it's a grateful thing, a humbling experience for sure. And I'm supposed to speak about Step 9, but I can't just go right to 9 without talking about how I got here. And I'll tell you just a little bit about my experience. Growing up, you know what I mean? I played sports. I got good grades. I hung out. I fit in with like anyone. I was like the great chameleon. I could fit in with the jocks, the preppy kids, the good grades kids. Anybody in school I fit in with. I got along with everybody. And until I got what I wanted out of that person, I was the ultimate manipulator. That's what I've always been good at. And I went to college. You know what I mean? But I didn't have that aha moment with the first drink for me. For me, it was other things, you know what I mean, dry goods. But once I got to senior year of high school, before I went to college, there was a girl that I loved, and she died in a car accident. And after that, I blamed God. I was raised Catholic, went to CCD, baptized, confirmed, never truly developed my own relationship with God. But at that very moment when that happened, I blamed God. I said, why would this cruel, unjust God take this away from me? And I felt as though it was something that was mine. I blamed God. From that point on, I stopped praying. I started blaming God for what had happened in my life, and I was depressed. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't talk about it. Didn't open up about it. And the grieving process is a very slow thing for some people. And once I got to freshman year of college, I started trying things other than alcohol or marijuana and moved on to other dry goods. And my story led me down a path of great despair. I graduated college with honors. It's hard to believe with how much I was drinking and what I was doing, but I did. Because I was always an intelligent person, but I could never maintain anything. You know what I mean? I couldn't maintain a job. I couldn't maintain. There was times in college I got thrown out of class, or times when I remember an employer would be like, we don't want you to come back ever again. Those things were normal. But my habit or my issue didn't really become bad until I finished college, went back home. The problem was I had a degree for teaching, but I had a criminal record, so I couldn't use the degree that I had earned, and I had to wait to get it expunged because I got arrested twice when I was 17, but they charged me as an adult. But the judge that I had, who's no longer at Bucks anymore, her name's Rhea Boylan. Some of you in the room probably know who she is. Famous judge. But she gave me a second chance, and she said that she would expunge my record if I stayed out of trouble for 5 years after I graduated. And I did, by the skin of my teeth. And she expunged my record, and I got my teaching license. And you know what I mean? But my habit was getting worse, and I realized that maybe try the geographic change. I figured, you know what, I'll go down south. I'll move away from everybody around here. I'll detox myself, and that's what I did. And I moved down south because I knew I couldn't go down with my active habit. So went down south, got a teaching job. I had my own little place, car, you know what I mean? I had everything going for me, and I'll never forget. It was like November 2013, and down south it stays warm all the way till about like late December. It stays like 80 degrees, no lie. And I remember I went to the pool, and the community pool, and some kid just started a conversation with me. I had like 6 months dry at this point. No drinking, no drugging, no nothing. Weaned off the Suboxone, like stopped the whole thing, you know what I mean? And I was just dry, just Joe with no spiritual solution. And this guy started a conversation with me, and he's like, "Do you drink?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you smoke?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you do pills?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I got 100 perks on me right now." I was like, "I'll take them all." Because I had no defense against saying no. Right from there, within a 6-month span, I lost my job. I was homeless. I started shooting up, smoking crack, ran up 6 credit cards. My transmission in my car only would go in first gear. I drove that on E for so long. First gear only. Could you imagine? I was driving all over main roads going only 30, but that's hard to believe. I don't even know how the car was still running. Didn't have oil change for like 40,000 miles, but that's neither here nor there. But one thing led to another. I'm homeless, living in an abandoned building down in North Carolina, and I had a million close calls, and then I finally, for the first time in my life, I felt like killing myself. And that's when it took that long for me to realize I had a problem. At that point, I had my first aha moment. I realized I had to ask for help, and I called my parents. Well, really, I don't know. I call it a God shot, but I think because God intervened, but that's neither here nor there. And called my parents, and I was like, I need to come get me. They're like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "You guys know what's wrong." And then they came 2 days later. I'll never forget, my dad showed up with a U-Haul truck, giant U-Haul truck. All I had was a trash bag full of clothes. That was it. I didn't have nothing left. So at that point, I was, you know what I mean? I had bed bug bites and everything you could possibly imagine, all track marks everywhere. I was in a real bad spot. I basically detoxed the whole way home, and then they took me right to Living Grin, if you guys know where it is in Ben Salem. Great rehab. It's not like the way it was when I went there, but it's still good. I went right there, and they were like, "Yeah, you don't even need to go to detox. You already detoxed." Because I mean, it's an 8-hour ride back from North Carolina, but we didn't drive back that day. You know what I mean? So I detoxed for like 3 days. They got me into rehab, and then I did the full inpatient stay, and I thought I was going home after rehab. I really did. And I remember my counselor was like, "You're not going home." And her name's Edie, if you guys know who she is. She doesn't work there anymore. Her name's Edie Cohen. I don't really believe in anonymity when we're in the room, but because she's they call her the can opener, because she knows how to open people up, and she definitely opened me up. And that was, I mean, I talked to the priest there, and I had an emotional experience, and I wouldn't say a spiritual experience just yet, but I was making my way there, and I learned about what AA was, and that it wasn't a cult. It's not just old guys smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee. There's a lot more involved, and you know what I mean. Or posting pictures of pizza on Facebook and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot more involved with it. But I remember when I thought I was going home, you know what I mean? Because in my mind, I had a plan to use again, to drink and do all the bad stuff we normally do. And my counselor's like, "Yeah, I convinced your parents you're not allowed to go home." It was the best thing that ever happened for me. But they're like, "You can go to a recovery house." So I have no idea what that is. I was scared half to death. Went to this recovery house. It's not the best house. I hate the guy that runs it now, but that's neither here nor there. And that's just how AA works. I mean, you're not going to like everyone you meet. But I went there, and they forced me to get a home group. They forced me to get a sponsor, a commitment, and I had to get a job. It was amazing that they forced me to do all those things. So I only made it to step 4, and then I picked up a 5th. I went out with a girl from rehab, and I used and drank. I relapsed, and it was the most embarrassing, demoralizing, I don't even know, spiritually breaking experience. Because I went from wanting to kill myself, asking for help, getting the help, and then burning the bridge almost in a weird way. And I remember my parents, I detoxed in my parents' house in the basement, and they're like, "You can't stay here. You need to find another recovery house." And I went to another recovery house. Don't like the owner now, but it's neither here nor there. And I got sober there. I kept the same sponsor. I finished all 12 steps in 4 months. I've been sober ever since. And but I'll never forget. Now we're on step 9, right? Mm-hmm. I was like 3 months in, writing down my 4th step. I'm sitting at the dinner table at the recovery house, because this is relevant to step 9. Mind you, if you guys don't know. I'm writing down each resentment, you know what I mean? Writing down what it affected, what it caused, or what caused it, what it affected in my life. And my sponsor had me do it just the way it outlines in the book. I think it's page 63. Off the top of my head, I'm not really sure. But and it just follow the exact format and write it all down on paper, handwrite it. I don't do. My sponsor didn't have me do the packet like some sponsors do. And I'm writing it down, number 1, dad, reason, what it affected. And I'm just keep going. And I remember, there were some guys in the house that laughed at me. I'm sitting at the dinner table, everybody's eating. Oh, he's doing his step work. Even making fun of me. Half of them are dead. I think that's funny. To me, I'm still sitting here, I'm alive. Because I actually cared about my life. I put work into it, you know what I mean? It took me the demoralization of, feeling embarrassed, wanting to kill myself, and then I finally asked for help, and then I feel like I let myself down because I saw there's something happened, you know what I mean? The seed got planted in that first recovery house. I was forced to do all these things, and I saw a guy that was finished his steps. This is the honest truth. Driving a Mercedes, had a good-looking girl, had all the things that I always wanted in life that I could never attain. A lot of people say it doesn't matter about the materialistic things. To me, it did early in recovery because I needed some type of motivation. I need something to motivate me to keep moving forward. And I always wanted those things. I could never ascertain them because I could never stay sober. And I used those things as motivation. And I picked that specific guy who was done his steps, but he was knowledgeable about step work and recovery and how to go about getting better. And that guy truly saved my life. I mean, he's not my sponsor today, but I finished my steps with him, and it's amazing, man. Because even in that second house, there was moments where I didn't feel like trudging the road, you know what I mean, or keeping going. And I would call him, and I'd be like, I don't feel any different. I'm done. I'm all the way to step 7, and I don't feel any different. I feel exactly the same as I felt when I was on step 1. There's something wrong. You know what I mean? Everyone says you're supposed to feel different. You're supposed to have this spiritual awakening. It wasn't until I was done my 3rd amends. I was praying every day, morning and night, doing all this work, and finally I felt God for the first time. I promise you this, it's stronger and it lasts longer than any drug or drink you'll ever take in your entire life. And it's completely free. It costs you $0 to do it, but you have to choose to do it. Because God grants everyone the power of choice. You have the power to choose to pray or not to pray. If you choose not to pray, it's your own fault. That's the way I look at it. And if you choose to pick up a drink, that's your fault. No one forced you to do it. It's not like you would walk around down Kensington. They're like, "Oh, here's a bag, take it." You know what I mean? You have to ask for it, or take yourself down there and do it, or go to the bar and ask for a drink. No one's like, "Oh, just." I mean, it does happen more often than the other scenario, but it's not like someone's going to be like, "Oh, here's a bottle of liquor, just take it." It's not. I mean, it's not going to happen. You have to seek it out. So I don't know. For me, it was something just clicked. I was able to find that medium ground between what my life was like before I got into recovery and what I wanted to be after, and I just met somewhere in the middle. And I used what my skills that I was good at while I was using and drinking, and then what skills I wanted to ascertain or what I thought my weaknesses were. Because what's funny is as I got through my amends and kept going and doing my nightly inventory, which is a nightmare. I have books and books of nightly inventory. I know we're not talking about that step, but I mean, I got to see what my actual weaknesses and strengths were, and the things that I thought were my strengths were actually my weaknesses, and the things I thought were my weaknesses were actually my strengths. It's funny how light comes to when you recover and you actually learn more about yourself. Because I knew nothing about myself. I was so emotional, you know what I mean? I'm so happy. I listened to my sponsor and didn't get in a relationship the first year in recovery, and he said not until you're at past step 9 can you get in a relationship. Now I understand why these things are in place and why people give you these suggestions. Because it's just a program of suggestions, but not really. I mean, it's all about how you take it. Everything's perception in life, how you perceive something to happen or how you perceive something to occur. That's all about how you feel or how you react, because you base everything based on your past experiences. And for me, I mean, once I got to that point, I was so mentally and spiritually broken, I just took every suggestion and ran with it. And today I sit in front of you, almost 7 years sober. I own a business that almost grosses $500,000 a year. Not that that matters, but I did it all on my own with no help. No help. Just straight drive and doing what I need to do. And I have a career job outside of that. I have everything I selfishly prayed for when I only had like 4 months sober. I have like everything tenfold. I would have sold myself short. And I remember all I prayed for was having a bank account, a girlfriend, a good job, and a car. I remember I selfishly prayed for those things, because they tell you not to pray for selfish things. And but it's funny how be careful what you pray for. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy how the things that I wanted and wanted so bad, it's like God's given me so much of it, and it's everlasting and it's free. But I just have to constantly access that power every day, and put God first. Because whatever you put in front of God, you're going to lose. I can promise you that. I've seen it so much. Ron's seen it probably so much. Because depending on, I don't know anyone else in the room offhand, but depending on how involved you are in service, which I consider service not just to be at a meeting either, or doing a commitment. I work in a different form of service, like aftercare for treatment, but I'm always trying to help people, and a lot of times these people deceive you, you know what I mean? And even though I've been sober and I'm an ex-drug addict myself, but it's like alcoholic, whatever, it's a lot of times you're giving nature, people take advantage of it. And back to step 9 with amends, that's really where I had my spiritual awakening, was after the third amends. It's weird, I just woke up that next day and I felt God for the first time. I don't know how to explain it. If I could explain it in words, everyone in this room would stay sober the rest of their lives. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's not that simple. We can't just put it on the drawing board and everyone just read the drawing board and just follow the exact format. If it was that simple, everyone would be sober, even the regular people, which I call them normies. But you know what I mean? But it's weird how if anyone worked a 12-step program, they'd be a better person. For me, the amends process was definitely the hardest, like sitting down with my mom and my dad individually and going over everything. And if you've never been through that process, I'll tell you one thing, it's definitely an emotional roller coaster, but it's worth it. I still actually have some amends I haven't made because the people either live too far or put myself in danger of being injured, or putting themselves in danger of being injured. And it's just weird, man. I would never imagine I'd be sitting here. No way. I should definitely be dead. Had plenty of close calls, hospital stays, you name it. But it's just amazing. Obtained 2 master's degrees in recovery. It's hard to believe. Hopefully Biden does the student loan debt forgiveness, please. Fingers crossed on that. But it's just crazy, but to be where I'm at, and I already spoke to him. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Please limit your sharing to 3 minutes, and don't forget to remove your mask. Please keep your shares related to the step.